the Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
All right, well, this is that other intro I was telling you about that's like our theme song for coming back in.
Right.
Although, I don't know, I'm really digging that other one. What was it, Snow Patrol again?
Yes, Snow Patrol.
Yeah, man, I'm still digging that one.
Snow Patrol's a good band. I forgot about them.
I had never even heard of them until today.
You'll have to look them up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I'll go do that, and then when I get home, I'm going to completely forget.
Yeah, I will too. I'm not going to look them up either.
I mean, that's just how I am. I usually say I'll do things, and then I never do. And then when people remind me, it's like, oh, yeah, I was going to do that. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I'll go do that, and then something else will come up.
Right.
That probably isn't even important.
No, probably not.
Yeah, all right, so Ryan Pace and John Fox had a press conference yesterday that they confirmed the Bears will be switching to a 3-4.
Yes, instead of a 4-3.
And apparently Jared Allen is not pleased with that.
I guess not, but you know what? He's going to have to learn how to.
You know, when
he's going to need to learn to get over that real quick.
You know, when we pay you to be an elite pass rusher and you record 4 sacks last year, you don't get to complain.
No, not at all.
And then Ryan Pace said he likes the versatility of Lamar Houston and Jared Allen, that they could play outside. And I'm just thinking, no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, they really didn't have an option. They kind of had to go to the 3-4. It was inevitable. They were going to do it eventually.
Right, and that's what the defensive coordinator
Vic Fangio
wants them to do. And so, you know, it worked in San Francisco. San Francisco's had one of the best defenses the last 3 or 4 years. So just do it.
Right. I mean, it was inevitable. The Bears put it off as long as they could from switching to the 3-4. And they need to get outside linebackers and middle linebackers to, like, I mean, that's really going to be important. I mean, granted, they need more defensive linemen with talent because right now all the defensive linemen they have are just big names.
Yep. Jared Allen, Lamar Houston, blah, 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 blah.
Don't even remind me about Lamar Houston. And I've read multiple articles saying, you know, players that the Bears could cut to save some salary cap, and I wanted to punch these people in the face just listening to these articles. Robbie Gould was on there.
Ooh, good as gold.
Ryan Mundy was on there.
Mundy.
I mean, granted, he's not like an elite player. For his salary, he played pretty well. He's only due $1.4 million next year.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, for $1.4 million, are you going to find another safety that can play, you know, the way he did last year? I mean, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
And let's see, I'm trying to think. If they cut Lamar Houston, they save $3 million in cap space. Except then they have like $5 million in dead money.
Yeah, here's the 2 things I'm most interested for, at least that are coming up for the Bears in the near future. The first thing is the NFL draft, because it's going to be in Chicago, so there's going to be a lot of focus on what the Bears are going to do, and there's going to be a lot of people there either cheering or booing with the certain picks.
In other words, they cannot afford to draft a bust.
Right. So that's like the number one thing I'm looking forward to is sort of the draft, because it's going to be kind of cool that's in Chicago this year. And then the second thing is, what are they going to do with Cutler and Marshall? Are they staying? Are they going? Because I think, the Bears are actively, at least trying to listen to offers for Jay Cutler. So I don't know if any team is dumb enough to take him, which I don't think they are. But, you have that, and then you have the antics of Brandon Marshall, and will he be back, or do the Bears even want him back? And
they need to have him back.
I agree. I think they need him back, too, because he has so much talent. And plus, especially if you don't have Jay Cutler, that other quarterback's going to need a guy like Marshall.
Right, and Jeffrey showed that he can't handle number one coverage without it. Well, granted, he had no one beside him besides Bennett. And, granted, another thing with Cutler, I loved how when we had Mark Grody on a couple weeks ago, he just kind of put it, who's the replacement for Jay Cutler if they get rid of him? And he just said, well, I don't know. That's Ryan Pace and John Fox's job to find out who the replacement quarterback should be, and if they can't do that, then they should be fired.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. That's their job to find that out. As fans, the hardest position to try to figure out because there's never any good guys in free agency. I mean, granted, the Bears apparently had a good meeting with Josh McCown the other day.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want Josh McCown back. Maybe in a backup role, but by no means should he be our starter, and obviously he's not going to be.
I think the best fit for him would be Joe Flacco's backup in Baltimore with Mark Trestman.
Yeah, that's a good point because Mark Trestman did a great job with him. So yeah,
he did. Yeah, I mean he made. Yeah, I mean I will give Mark Trestman credit. He did make Josh McCown look like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he did, and I mean he was just heaving balls up there, and our receivers were just pulling him down. I mean, of course, Alshon Jeffrey had a breakout season too.
Right, and he's kind of the one that was playing quarterback when Jeffrey was breaking out too. It wasn't Cutler. It was McCown. You could tell Jeffrey was McCown's go-to guy. And an important thing with McCown, the only interception he had was the end of that awful St. Louis game when he was just heaving it down the field, trying to just, when they're down 3 touchdowns with some time left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as Jay Cutler is, I mean, he'll probably be our quarterback for 2015, as he probably should be, unless you can find, another option that would be a better option. But I don't think, his Bears management staff isn't going to screw us over like the last one.
At least I hope not. I mean, that last.
I don't think this staff is capable of really screwing us over. It can't get any worse than it's gotten.
Well, don't say that. We thought that going into last season, and
that's
it got
a good point.
worse.
Yeah. That's a good point. Our coordinators forgot how to be coordinators, and
our Mark Trestman
head coaches forgot how to be people. So
yeah, really, they really did. I mean, last season, the disaster of last season does not get any worse, and it's just depressing thinking about that. I mean, because who is in contention? Who is in the contention for the Super Bowl? And then goes 5-11 without having major injuries.
Right, and it's kind of disappointing because this next upcoming season the Bears probably won't be in the playoffs because you still have Green Bay, Detroit, and an improved Minnesota team. I think it's going to be tough for the Bears to even be considered to even go 8-8.
Right, and don't forget the fact that they play the the NFC West and the AFC West.
Yeah, we went over their schedule a couple weeks ago. They play Kansas City. They play Denver,
San Diego.
They play Seattle, Arizona, San Diego,
San Francisco.
I mean, those are all losses.
Those are all losses.
Unless the Bears can have a really good turnaround and maybe split some of those games. I mean, they're going to have a couple wins against Minnesota.
No, maybe one. Yeah, they're on the rise.
They might split with Detroit. They might not. We don't know.
Right, and it looks like Adrian Peterson will be back for Minnesota.
Yeah, and Teddy Bridgewater is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. So
yeah, he looked pretty good. Maybe Peterson will run for 400 yards in the game against the Bears. They won't even. They'll attempt 0 passes in the game, and Peterson will just run for 450 yards.
I mean, at this point, that would be just sort of a comical relief for another bad season if something like that happened. I mean, it was upsetting. It wasn't comical when the Bears got blown up by Green Bay, but it was kind of comical all the games after that.
Watching that game against Green Bay, I mean, after you realize,
it made you sick to your stomach.
Once you realized what kind of game it was going to be, you just started laughing, watching all these guys wide open.
Although it did make me sick, though. I was like, geez. And the fact that it was the Packers sort of made me more sick.
Mm-hmm.
Where
I mean, and Chris Collins,
they got blown out by New England. I wasn't, surprised or real upset about that loss.
Yeah, I mean, and Chris Collinsworth. And Al Michaels, they didn't even know what to say. That's how bad it was.
It's like nothing to say. It's just like, there's Green Bay just doing whatever they please.
I mean, at halftime, I wonder how hard it was for them to not just burst out laughing.
Which I think Chris Collinsworth kind of did towards the end of the game. He was sort of like laughing at how bad this team was.
How could you not laugh?
Yeah, it's tough not to laugh at something like that. But, it's going to be a couple years probably before the Bears can be back in contention because we still have to see what happens with Jay Cutler. Because if Jay Cutler does leave in a year or two, which he probably will anyway, I don't think they have any plans of re-signing him.
Yeah, I don't think they have to
Then
worry.
you have to build up, either through your system or you have to go out and get somebody.
I don't think they have to worry about re-signing Jay Cutler on this 7-year deal.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think the 7 years out of 7 years, he's not going to get any more than that with the Bears. And I would sort of put my money on he's probably not going to play in the NFL after the Bears either.
I don't know. There's probably plenty of teams that would actually be
but
open
you would need to have a team
out.
that's actually trying to win. Like, is Tennessee trying to win right now? Is St. Louis trying to win right now? I don't think so.
Who knows? I mean,
Tampa Bay wouldn't take. I don't think anyone would take him. I'm sure Lovie Smith wouldn't want him. So.
No, I mean, granted though, if you might want to bring him in maybe on a tryout. Because there's a lot of teams that could feel like they are a quarterback away, like Kansas City.
The problem is that they had Jay Cutler quarterback away. I think a lot of people saw what he did this year, and I think the national perspective is very, very bad. On Jay Cutler.
It is, and it's probably worse than it should be because. Granted, he probably just didn't care at the end of the season. He knew where the season was going after the Buffalo game. Mm-hmm. You could tell in the press conference after that game, you could tell that he knew where the season was going.
Yeah, he pretty much knew that it was going to be bad.
Disaster.
Yep, but, we do have the right people in place. We got the right head coach. We got the right coordinators for sure. That's the main thing. I think we really got the right coordinators.
Yeah, even Urlacher said they got great coordinators. Did you hear yesterday? He said that he called out Cutler again, saying the Bears have all-pro talent at every position except quarterback.
Yeah, I did, and he purposely did not say Jay Cutler's name. I did.
Yeah, and then they said you didn't mention quarterback. He's like, they have great talent at wide receiver, offensive line, tight end, and running back.
Yes, they do. And he's right. They do. But it's just, can they all put it together? I think in a couple of years you could see it. But for 2015, it's going to be a stretch. But I think they'll win more than 5 games, and they should give more teams some trouble. That there should be some more exciting games at least in 2015.
It shouldn't be halfway through the first quarter and you already know they're going to lose.
Yeah,
every game this season.
It should be more exciting. But no one's going to be able to stop Green Bay, and that's the main issue.
Right. Now that this season happened, you're not shocked because Mark Trestman was never cut out to be a head coach.
Apparently not.
Yeah,
he can only be the coach of the
whatever team in Canada.
The Argonauts, the Toronto Argonauts. Is that what it is?
I wonder
forget
if they
what
miss
he was
him.
a coach.
I wonder if they miss him.
Well, he won a CFL championship, and he wrote a book about winning.
Maybe he should. I wonder if that book included being the head coach of the Bears and what a great job he did with them, because I'm sure he thinks he did a good job. He always acted like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, because it worked in Canada, and I guess he just got really lucky in Canada to beat some of those other teams.
Yeah, they're two completely different leagues. Whatever works in Canada is not working in the NFL.
Right. It's not like you're going to see an Arena Football League head coach go to the NFL anytime soon and be the head coach in the NFL. So.
The thing is, the Cleveland Browns knew not to hire Mark Trestman. That's just a huge red flag about this guy.
And they make mistakes every year.
Yeah, they fire their coach every year.
They have Hoyer and Manziel, and neither of them might be back. So,
yeah, they said they're going into this offseason trying to find a new quarterback.
And they had a pretty good year last year. I think they went 7-9 was their final record.
I think it was 8-8.
I think they might have went 8-8. They were a game or two away from making the playoffs. It looked like they might, around week 8 and 9, but then they sort of blew it. But
yeah, then Hoyer just went into that awful stretch.
Yeah, I'll be rooting for them because I like to see the teams that don't make it try to make it in, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it will be. And, well, it is that time. It is almost 8 o'clock here on this Thursday night. We are the Sports Renegades.
Yes, we are.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back on next week. Take care and have a great night. We'll have plenty more to talk about. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.